We are waiting a news conference from Senate Republicans at this hour to unveil the Justice Act, their plan to reform police departments across the country. But the bill already drawing pushback from Democrats who say it just does not go far enough. Here to talk about that is Republican Congressman from Georgia, Doug Collins. Congressman, good morning to you. Thanks for being here as we await this event here, this unveiling, if you will. Where do you see bipartisan agreement on reforming our police?
I see that it can happen, but it's got to happen when you take the politics of what people want to do, like we're going to have here at markup in the Judiciary Committee, taking on a lot of different things instead of focusing on the real issues that we need to talk about: transparency, vulnerability, those with our police departments, making sure accountability happens, but also giving them the technology and the training to make sure that these police are trained in de-escalation instead of escalation, making sure that they understand how to deal with mental health and addictions and other things that they're going through, so that the police and the communities can come together. Tim Scott's bill is going to, I think, take a great step toward that. We're looking forward to continuing that process. But yes, bipartisan agreement can happen. I did First Step Act. That was the criminal justice bill, the huge bill that we did bipartisanly. That's how you get stuff done. But you got to take the politics inside and you got to get to what actually works.
Okay, Congressman, but when you listen to Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell on this issue, you wonder just how far apart both sides are. Listen to this.
Our Republican colleagues seem to be on a path towards taking a much, much narrower, less inclusive approach. That is wrong.
The House version is going nowhere in the Senate. It's basically typical Democratic overreach to try to control everything in Washington. We have no interest in that.
Okay, so you hear that and you wonder if the two sides can come together on this. The committee is going to give us this first look at the Justice and Policing Act. So what do you think about what Democrats are putting forward, Congressman?
I think what you just heard is the perfect recipe to actually get something done, because you're going to have the leadership of the president who set out an executive order starting to begin to lay out things that they could do. So when you hear Chuck Schumer say this is too narrow, when you hear the McConnell rightly saying that this bill is too much of a broad overreach, and start looking at the things we can do, you've now set the stage for what we can do, and that is looking at accountability, looking at the ability to make sure that bad actors who are in cops' uniforms are getting out of those roles, and we move them on. We look at the issues that we have in the police departments on how they can actually remove bad actors. We see it too many times where bad actors who are in the law enforcement community are not able to move out. We need to see body cameras. We need to see other issues that can work. So I think what you just showed was that there is something that can be valuable here, because the president is on board with getting these things fixed in the proper way, and you're going to have Congress do the same thing. Again, we saw this in First Step Act. We saw it in criminal justice reform before. People were saying the same things, and guess what? We got it done for the American people.
Congressman, you know, we're looking at images from Washington on Monday as we do see some protests continue throughout the country. You see this live look on Capitol Hill, and you just wonder, is the moment being seized? Is change going to come from all of this? You have lawmakers trying to enact change. You have people taking to the streets calling for action. What do you think comes from all of this, Congressman?
I think we'll come a positive step forward. I think we come together where communities come together with law enforcement to make our communities safer again. We have law enforcement who is now taking steps and working to make sure that how they handle their interactions with the community is not only protecting lives and property, but they're being protected as well. And we have communities who come together to see law enforcement making changes, and their elected officials actually having real dialogue about the issues of policing and how we deal in our communities. I believe we are going to take this moment. I believe the president laid a great groundwork for that yesterday. I think the Senate and the House will come together on this, lay aside what is typically a gridlock partisanship issue here, and find the real solutions. For those of us who've done that before, we know it can happen, but it's got to happen in real ways, not just rhetoric that make people feel better, but we got to actually show ways that the federal government, working with our state and local partners who actually have the ultimate responsibility here, to make sure this happens.